Hi guys, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a get to know me video and I'm going to be answering some questions that you guys had for me on TikTok. So I hope you guys enjoy. So I'm gonna start off with the basics. My name is Brittany Marie, like that's my actual name, that's on my birth certificate, not a made up name. Okay, Brittany, Marie, not Brittany, Brittany. And I might be looking down at my iPad often because that's where the questions are. I need to have them written down so that way I can stay on track, because if I had the option to, I would just yap away. Okay, I'm already yapping right now. Where am I from? I am from the Bronx, New York. I was born and raised in the Bronx. However, I didn't live here for the entirety of my life. When I went to school, I lived in Buffalo for 4 years. And then after school, I lived in Atlanta for about 5 months. What is my ethnicity? So I am African American and I'm also Garifuna Guatemalan. My mom is African American, her family's from the South, but they migrated up to New York. And then my dad is Garifuna, he is from Guatemala, born and raised in Guatemala, and then he came over here to New York. So yeah, if you don't know who the Garifuna people are, we are Afro-Indigenous. We are like one of the only Afro-Indigenous people to have never been enslaved. So we were exiled. Originally, the Garifuna people are from St. Vincent, but since they were not enslaved, they were exiled and they were sent to like Central America. So you can find the Garifuna people in Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Belize, and of course St. Vincent, because that's where they derived from. But my dad per se is from Guatemala. So do I speak any other language? No, I do not speak any other language. I only speak English. I was not raised by my dad, but if I was, I would probably be speaking Spanish as well as Garifuna. But I took Spanish in high school. First of all, I took Spanish in middle school. I took Spanish all throughout high school, and I took Spanish in college. I took Spanish for a good 8 years. And when I tell you I do not know a lick of Spanish, it's actually pretty sad. Maybe sometimes when people are speaking to me, I could like pick up on some words, but honestly, I really don't know anything at all. And like Spanish is my dad's first language, so his accent is pretty thick and pretty heavy. And like when we do speak, sometimes he'll speak to me in Spanish or he'll speak to me in Garifuna. I'm just like, sir, English, please. Por favor. So the next question is, where did I go to school and what did I study? I went to the University at Buffalo. Go Bulls. I studied political science with a concentration in international politics, and then I also minored in African American studies. When I initially went to school, I wanted to study I wanted my major to be African American Studies because I loved African American Studies. I was a part of the EOP program, so I went to UB before my first semester. So the summer of my first semester, I went to UB. And if you were ever a part of the EOP program, you know that you got to go to school before you go to school. So I took the African American Studies class. So it was either you take psychology or African American Studies, and then you have to take a math course and then like a freshman course. So I did the African American Studies. And when I tell you I love that class, I love that class. So going into school, I'm like, I want my major to be African American Studies because I was really good at it. I was so good at it. I love history. I love research. Like, I love to write essays. I love to write papers. So I'm like, this is what I want to do. But then I had an advisor, and she was telling me, like, I don't think you should major in African American Studies because that honestly places you in a box to only do things within that major. You know, like when you're going into a career field or when someone is looking at your degree and they see that it's only African American Studies, that kind of puts you in a box. And at first I was like, why are you telling me don't study that? But then I understood what she was trying to say. So she was like, do political science because it's more broad and you can do more things with that, and you could find your way in different career paths. And then she said minor in African American studies, or she told me that I could double major. I wasn't gonna double major, that's too much now. I'm like, okay, I'll do it as a minor just to have those credentials under my belt. That way I can also take those classes and still enjoy the classes that I do take. So I'm like, okay, let me do international politics, because I was really interested in like learning the political aspects in different countries and how they maneuver, and also how we maneuver in politics internationally. So I thought that was really cool. So I took like a lot of Middle Eastern politics, race in politics. I took a lot of politics class. Like everything was political science down. And one thing about political science, it was incredibly hard, and it was also intimidating, because sometimes I would be the only Black person there, or if I wasn't the only Black person, I would be the only Black woman that was there. So definitely super intimidating, whether it was a lecture class, whether it was smaller classes, seminar classes. Those were super intimidating. And one thing that I do regret is that I wasn't super vocal in those classes when I should have been, because I had the right to be in those spaces. But I was just the type of person that I went to class, I did my work, studied, and that was it. So that's one thing that I do regret. So hopefully in law school, I would actually utilize my voice and speak up in class more. Like if I'm paying to go there, I'm gonna speak up. I'm gonna talk. Like I'm paying to talk. You know what I mean? I'm paying to speak up and participate in class. Okay? Sorry, I just went on a whole tangent. See what I mean? Like I got off track, y'all. Let me cross off this question. Okay. If you could go back to college, is there anything that you would do differently? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. I would have went straight to law school. I would have went straight to law school, or I would have done a pre-law track, so that way I could probably do a 6-year program, 5-year program, and get my freaking JD. I hate that I took a break. I get it though, because at the time I was young and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is gonna take so long. 3 years in law school, this long in law school, this is gonna take so long. Like, I don't wanna do that. But it's like, girl, the time has already passed. I could have been a lawyer right now. You know what I mean? I could have been a lawyer right now, but I was just so stuck on, oh my gosh, it's gonna take so long for me to get there. But at the end of the day, the time is already gonna pass. So it's like, either you gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. So here I am, but I'll be a lawyer by 30. So that was cool with me too. Next question. How did I get into makeup and fashion? I've always been such a makeup girly. Ever since like high school, I kind of started to experiment with makeup. So I would do my own makeup. I started a YouTube channel when I was in high school. Yeah. Was I consistent? Absolutely not. But yeah, I was interested in makeup from high school. I would watch Aaliyah J on YouTube. I would watch a lot of the OG YouTube makeup girlies, and I would be like, yeah, I would go out and get my LA Pro concealer. I would get the NYX lippies, like things that I could afford. You know what I mean? I used to beg my mother to take me to Sephora so I could try on the makeup, pick up some Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I just used to do my makeup. Like, I used to be beating my face down. Like, for prom, I did my own makeup for prom. Like, I practiced my makeup look. I practiced everything down to the T, and I did my own makeup, and it came out super cute. And then how did I get into fashion? Honestly, I always loved clothes. I loved clothes. I loved to sew things. Like, even if it was like little stuff around the house, I would cut up my old clothes and get a needle and thread and start hand sewing things and making my own creations. And my mother always used to tell me, like, that's that Guatemala in you, because my grandma, she used to like sew things and things of that sort. So she was like, yeah, you definitely got that gene in you. But yeah, I always used to like hand sew things. I would go to the fabric stores, pick up random fabrics that I liked, that I thought were cute. The colors stood out to me, and I would just sew stuff, like sew random ass stuff by hand. I was a part of the knitting club in high school, so I would knit things as well. But yeah, I just always liked fashion. Like, I want to be a fashion girly so bad. Like, I want a whole bunch of vintage fly shit. Like, I want to be a fly ass bitch in some vintage shit. Like, nobody telling me nothing. Whole closet full of shit from 2006, 2010. Like, are you stupid? Like, shit you can't get in the store. Like, some fly bitch shit. Like, that's what I want. That's what I want so bad. Okay. What sparked my love for fitness, like bar and the gym? So honestly, when I was in college, I used to work out. I used to be super skinny. Not like super, super skinny, but I was always thin. No more than 125 pounds. And I'm only about 5'2". So no more than about 125 pounds, no more than 120 pounds. Like I was pretty thin. So I started going to the gym in college because I was trying to get thick. I wanted to get thick. I wanted it to get like skinny BBL. Like my ass is super fat, slim waist, where's her waist? I don't know. So I started working out in the gym in college, and I would always go to the gym because shit, it was free. Why not? Might as well. So it started from there. And then once the pandemic happened and we couldn't go to the gym, the gyms were closed, things and stuff like that was shut down. And we had to go back home. We couldn't be on campus no more. We had to go back home. They sent everybody back home. I started working out at home. I had some weights. I had some glute bands and stuff like that. I started working out at home. I started doing fitness Zoom classes and stuff like that, like hosting fitness Zoom classes so that way people could be active. I used to go to the track by my house. Like I was doing it all and I was staying fit. So yeah, that kind of sparked me wanting to work out the pandemic, for real, for real. And then that's also when I launched Noir Fit, my activewear line, you know, because I had the time. I'm like, I love fashion. I like to look good while I'm working out. Why not combine my two passions? And then bar, that's like a new love thing for me, you know, because at first I started to do Pilates after I had Ryder. Okay, I'm like, let me get into Pilates. Let me see what's tea. Let me see what that's about. And then I tried bar. And when I tell you I left that bar class and my body was hurting, I never felt hurt like that before, but it felt so good. I booked another class, went back the next day. I'm like, I love this shit. I love it. I don't think I ever left the Pilates class and said, I love this shit. So I'm like, you know what? Bar is going to be my thing. And I feel like bar is way more intense than Pilates to me because you're using your body. You're not worrying about a freaking machine, how to utilize the machine. You're focusing solely on your body and the muscles in your body and how to move them, how to make sure you feel it everywhere. So that's why I prefer bar, because that's the only thing you're focusing on, yourself. And it's hard. It's so hard, but it's a good hard. So if you haven't tried bar before, I advise that you do try it. How do I find time for my passions as a mom? So I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning of motherhood, I used to feel super guilty. Whenever I would spend time away from Ryder because I felt as though I was neglecting my child. But as time went on and as he began to grow, I'm like, listen, one thing I'm not gonna do is lose myself in motherhood, because at the time, like in the beginning, when Ryder was younger, me and his dad, it was beef, y'all. It was beef. And I just felt like in my mind, this man trapped me. That's one. I felt like he trapped me. Two, I also felt like he thought nobody would want me after I had the baby. Like he thought I would fall off, or I wouldn't look as good, or I would just be some, I'm sorry, bum ass bitch. Like that's the, I feel like that's the ideology that he had. And in my mind, I'm like, why would I fall off? Like the only way I could fall off is if I allow myself to. So despite going through, I didn't go through postpartum, but just despite going through motherhood by myself in a way and kind of navigating through that, at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't want to lose who I am. I don't want to lose who I was before I had the baby. So I always made sure my hair was done, always made sure my nails was done, always made sure I was in the gym. Like my body was super tea after I had Ryder. Super tea. Like, super tea. Made sure I went on vacations. Made sure I went on dates. Like, I was really doing my thing because at the end of the day, a baby really don't stop nothing unless you allow it to. You also have to separate who you are as an individual from being a mother. A lot of people don't know how to separate the two. Like, their kid is the center of their world, as they should be, but also at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you're good, you have to make sure that you're healthy, and you also have to make sure that you're mentally okay. And a lot of moms, they don't do that. They just put everything into their kids. Again, as you should, but you also have to make sure that you're pouring into yourself. And that's one thing that I do, and that's one thing that I prioritize. Pouring into myself and who I am and making sure that I am okay. Because if I am not okay, Ryder's not going to be okay. So I feel like having that type of perspective, it allowed me to make room for the passions that I do have. I send Ryder to daycare. Okay? I'm unemployed. I send him to daycare almost every day. And I do what I need to do, and I have my mommy time from the time I drop him off to the time I pick him up, because that is important to me. He goes to his dad's on the weekend, and I do what I need to do for me on the weekends, okay? So I always make sure I have my time set aside. I have a friend that she got a good village. Like, she has a great village. My village is, it's a little shaky, but you see the difference in what someone is able to do when they do have a super great village and someone who doesn't. So those are the things that do matter when it comes to making time for your passions. It's having people around you that also support you, and I also want to make sure that you are okay. You know what I mean? So the next question is, where was my first big trip and how did it feel? Okay, I love to travel, y'all. My first big trip was to India. Every time I tell someone that, they're like, girl, what the hell were you doing in India? I said the same shit. But when I was in high school, that was a school trip. I went to an international high school. I'm going to put quotes around it because was that shit really international? We did go on international trips, but like that was about it. But I went to an international high school, and the trip for I think it was my sophomore year. The trip for the sophomore year was to India. And that trip, it was one of the cheapest trips that they had so far. Because I remember my first year there, they went to Portugal, Morocco, and Spain. That shit sound fire. Like, what? Portugal, Morocco, and Spain? That's just a little pricey. I ain't have it like that. But when we heard about the India trip, or when I heard about the India trip, I told my mother, I'm like, yo, it's $1,500. I need that. I need to go. I need to go. So you know what we did? We fundraised. And I was able to go to India. That was my first big trip. That was my first time out the fucking country. A 16-hour flight to India out the country. But it was so, it was such an eye-opener. Like, such an eye-opener, a culture shock. Imagine you from New York City, lived in New York City your whole life, and your first trip out the country is India. Like, when I tell you culture shock, but I did love it. I did get really sick. I got super sick because the pollution out there is honestly terrible. So I was like super sick. They had to get the doctor to come to the hotel to check me out. I had like strep throat. I couldn't talk. I was vomiting. Like, it was terrible. Like, when we were on our way back to New York City, I almost threw up right there at customs. They asked me, they had to pull me aside several times to ask me if I'm okay, because if I had any type of sickness, they was not letting me back into America. They were not letting me back into America, and I really tried to hold it down. Like, my teachers and my principal, they was telling me like you, please hold it down, because we need to get your ass back to New York. And I was just holding it down. But overall, great experience. Definitely a culture shock, eye-opener. Loved it, super grateful, and it taught me a lot. How has your dating life changed since becoming a mom? My dating life has changed immensely. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Not saying that it's more difficult for me to date, because honestly, a lot of men, they do not care that I am a mom. Some of them actually like it, and they be telling me that, oh, I love that you're a mom. I love seeing you be a mom. Because they have me on social media, they're like, I love seeing you be a mom. And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what I should say to that. Like, what do you have, a mommy fetish or something? I definitely say that it has been a little bit more difficult for the simple fact that my standards are higher. And also, I have a low tolerance for nonsense and bullshit. I'll just kick somebody to the side, kick somebody to the curb without even a thought behind doing it. Just because, like, why are you here? Like, I gotta go be a mom. I gotta go take care of my child. I don't have time for this. Like, I don't have time for this at all. So I'm definitely grateful for that, honestly. Like, it's honestly taught me, stop being a dumbass bitch. Like, stop being a dumbass bitch. Because sometimes, you know, you're in your 20s, your frontal lobe is not fully developed, and you're just like, la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. After having that baby, I'm like, no, I'm not taking no bullshit. I'm not taking no nonsense from no man. From no man that's not doing nothing for me. Please. Like, I already have a son. I don't need another son. I don't need two kids, okay? Well, at least not right now, but I don't need two kids. Being a mom has definitely changed my perspective on dating in that sense. No nonsense, no bullshit, and high ass standards, okay? One thing I do look at is, say for example, you know, like my schedule around my son, right? And you want to see me on a day where I do have my son, and you don't suggest like, oh, get a babysitter, I'll pay for the babysitter, or something like that. That kind of turns me off, because it's like, if you want to see me, if you want me to set aside time for you, why can't you as a man meet me halfway and kind of make that happen? You know what I mean? It kind of turns me off. I feel like you should offer, like, oh my gosh, I want to see you so bad, get a babysitter so we can make that happen. What is my idea of a perfect date? Not gonna lie, I've had a lot of great first dates. Oh my gosh. Let me know if y'all want to hear about my great first dates. But an ideal perfect first date to me, definitely a trip. My ideal perfect first date is definitely a trip. Not even gonna lie. Like, I'm a Pisces, I'm a lover girl, I'm delusional. Like, I don't have time for the texting back and forth. I don't have time for beating around the bush. Let's just go on that trip. Whether it's a getaway to Miami, whether it's out the country, let's just go on that trip, babe. Let's just do it. Like, you think I'm attractive, I think you're attractive, I want to see what you about, you want to see what I'm about. Let's do that on vacation. I might actually like you even more. Because if you do some whack ass first date, you're really gonna piss me off. One thing I hate is when a man wastes my time and it's on a day where I do not have Ryder. Because I could have been doing something so much better with my time, but instead you bored me to death with this whack ass date. First date equals a trip. That's what I want. That's what I want. A trip on a first date. And it's happened before. So a trip on a first date is just so perfect to me, because I've experienced that before and I like stuff like that. It's so spontaneous and it's so fun, because it's like we're away from everything that we know, you know, and we're together on this trip and we're learning how to maneuver with one another. So that's what I prefer. Next question is, what's something Ryder has taught you about yourself? Ryder has definitely taught me patience. He has taught me how to be such a patient human being. And a lot of people, they always tell me that's something that they admire about me, is my patience. Because when I'm out in public, or just the way that I was brought up, I would see the way that people talk to their kids, and I'm just like, why are you speaking to your child like there's somebody in the street? Like, that's something you should never want to do, or you should never get to that point. You know, like, remove yourself from the situation if you feel like you're about to scream at your child. Like, they're literally a child. So I would say he definitely has taught me patience, because if you've been around us, if you've been around Ryder, you know his tantrums, they are pretty intense. But I try to console him. I try to comfort him. I try to always give him positive words of reassurance to let him know, like, mommy's here, mommy's here. Not like overly coddling him, but just letting him know that I'm here and that it's okay. Like it's okay. Like you don't have to cry about it. I'm just patient because he's a child. He's a toddler. He's 2. He's still learning how to maneuver through life. Like life is new for him. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what's happening. So I just make sure that I look at things from his perspective as well, because he sees the world a lot differently than the way that I, an adult, a full grown adult, sees the world. So I just have patience and I always consider that as well, because he's learning. He's learning just as much as I'm learning. Like we're able to teach one another. Like he's teaching me how to be a parent and I'm teaching him how to maneuver through life. So we're both each other's teachers. So that's pretty cool. What do you love most about the bond you share with your son? So the thing that I love most about the bond I share with Ryder is that we are each other's form of comfort. Like we're each other's home. Like when I think of home, I think of Ryder, and I know he feels the same. He can't like verbally express it to me, but like through his physical actions, I just know that we're each other's place of comfort. And that I make him feel comfortable and we make each other feel comfortable, because even when it comes to like chilling and relaxing, he loves to cuddle me. He loves to like give me random hugs. He loves tight hugs. When we're sleeping, I try to put him in his bed, but we do co-sleep still. He's in that phase where he wants to sleep with me. Before he would sleep by himself, but now he wants to sleep with me. And he always makes sure that some body part of ours is touching. So his hand has to be on my arm. His hand has to be on my face. He loves when I touch his face and when I grab his face, and it's just the cutest thing ever. So I would definitely say that we are each other's form of comfort. Like we make each other feel at peace, you know, like we're each other's peace as well. So that's one thing that I do love, because sometimes I just want my baby. I'm just getting emotional thinking about it, but I love him so much. What is my favorite food? Y'all, my sister always call me a human dumpster because I literally eat everything. Like I am not a picky eater at all, but one thing I am loving at the moment is a good ass bronzino, like a nice oven roasted bronzino, chef's kiss. And I love a good vegetable too. I love a good leafy green. Right now my thing is kale, mushrooms. I love zucchini. I love peppers, spinach, anything, any vegetable you could put it in front of me. If it's seasoned down to the gauze and it's super good, but still also have that vegetable taste, I'm gonna eat it. Like I'm not a picky eater at all. Like you could put anything on my plate, and as long as it's made with love and it's seasoned well, baby, I'm gonna tear it up. I really am gonna tear it up. But I would say like my favorite cuisine would definitely have to be, you can't go wrong with Caribbean food. You can't go wrong with Italian. I love some fire ass pasta. I don't eat pasta often, but when I do indulge in pasta, I love some fire ass pasta, y'all. I love it. The Italians, they really know what they doing. The Caribbeans, they know what they doing too. I love some soul food though, but I'm African American, so it's like eating soul food, I grew up eating that. Like I'm gonna always love it down. But because that's what I consider American food. When I think of American food, I think of soul food. So I always eat that all the time. So, but yeah, I'm not a picky eater. I'll eat anything. What is the biggest lesson that I've learned at this age? So I am currently 26 years old, and a lesson that I've learned at this age is definitely do what makes you happy and do not settle for less. A lot of times we think that we do not deserve certain opportunities, that we do not deserve nice things into our life. Do not settle for anything less than what you deserve. You know what you deserve, and whatever you do deserve, it will automatically come to you. Once you put in that work and once you eliminate all of the distractions, those things will come to you. So I'm definitely learning not to settle for anything when it comes to opportunities in my life, when it comes to dating. I'm not going to settle for anything because that is not the life that I envision for myself. I envision a certain type of life for myself. And when you sit there and when you settle for certain things just because that's the type of aura you bringing into your life. Like, I'm just complacent with any old thing. And you should never have that mentality of being complacent and okay with just anything just because it's something to have in your life. No. You know exactly what you want out of life. Do not settle for anything that is not exactly what you want or even close to it. So I would definitely say that is something that I've learned. I'm trying to trust the process, and I'm also believing that God has something planned and just trying to stay on the path of what he has planned for me. Because a lot of times we could be at our lowest and we'll just like, gimme, gimme, gimme. Like, you're just taking or you're grabbing anything that you can because you're at such a low point in your life. But that may not be what God has planned for you or what is destined for you in your life. Because those little things that you're just grabbing at, now you're creating extra obstacles or even burdens in your life to get you to what you actually want and what you actually are striving for. You know what I mean? And also doing what makes you happy. Don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. Do what makes you happy. Shut out all the naysayers because at the end of the day, somebody's always going to have something to say. Whether it's the family member, whether it's the friend, whether it's a stranger, somebody's always going to have something to say. But at the end of the day, are they you? Are they living your life? Absolutely not. So fuck out of here. Don't listen to nobody. Do what make you happy and don't settle for less. Definitely what I've learned at this age. Oh, now that we're on age, my birthday is February 28th. I am a Pisces. Ooh, ooh. And I'm 26 years old, y'all. Your girl is about to turn 27. I'm close to 30. And I just feel like I'm just getting finer with age. Like, not gonna lie, I've always been pretty, always been cute. But I just feel like I'm getting more pretty. Because I'm doing things that make me happy. Like, I have the means to make myself look good. But yes, I am a Pisces. If y'all are into star signs and astrology, I'm a Pisces. I feel like I get along with everybody. If you don't like me, that's your fucking problem, because why would you not like me? Like, I really don't bother nobody. I don't got beef with nobody. I don't got beef with no girls. I don't got, like, none of that. Like, most of the fights that I've been in was because my friend got beef with somebody. So now we ended up fighting. Like, you know what I mean? But, like, none of the problems ever been with, oh, I got beef with her. No. No. It's just that I don't play about my friends. I don't play about my friends. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm a Pisces. Very delulu. Very much live in a fantasy world. But I feel like Pisces, we give out the best love. Like, our hearts are so big. You really don't know what love is until you've been loved by a Pisces. So, yeah, try it. I don't know about the men. I heard the men, they real treacherous, okay? And this is the last question, y'all. What's a song that always lifts your mood? Y'all know that song by Neo? Stay. And I love to turn you on. You're like my favorite song. Without you would be wrong. Would be wrong forever and over. Cause you know what you do to me. I love that song down. Like, that song just, like, once the weather get nice outside, that's the first song I'm blasting. Cause that right there, it just lifts up my spirit. Once you say, que linda ma, que linda ma, que linda ma, que linda ma. Once you say that, like, chef's kiss. Neo knew what he was doing, okay? So that was my Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to know me. I honestly enjoyed giving you guys an insight of who I am. I don't really talk about myself that often, so when I do, I could ramble. I could say a mouthful. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Bye.